Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson here. Where do you want to start? You want to start with France now taking a new stance on the Muslims? You want to talk about the people of Bernie finally figuring out that they got hosed over? What about Doug Schoen saying the Democrats are rotten to their core? Kellyanne Conway talking about Clinton corruption. Nancy Pelosi, do you really think she wants to look forward to the next election? Seriously? Sarah Sanders gets questioned on slavery. Holly weirdos are getting asked about sexual assault in Hollywood and their thoughts around it. The scandal is starting to break. Russia is now backfired on the Democrats. Lots of stuff. Terror attacks in New York. Terror attacks in churches here in America. Everything that the left has planted seeds for has grown and grown and grown, and finally there's somebody out there called the weed whacker. Donald Trump, he's out there whacking these weeds. He's keeping terrorists out of our country. He's keeping illegal banditos out of our country. He's actually making the terrorists of the left be held accountable. Groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and many others. We have a new sheriff in town. I've been talking to everybody who'll listen, who voted for Donald Trump, and I tell them, everybody you meet that talks about I'm for Clinton or I'm with her or whatever, you should get in their faces and say, you were voting for a crook. We tried to tell you the truth and you blew it, not us. You should be thanking us. You should be down on your knees, praying like we're Allah and or Mecca and you're Muslim. And you should be doing it 6 times a day, you clowns. That's right, all of you are clowns that ever voted for Hillary, thought about voting for Hillary, continue down this stupid narrative that she's the one. Anybody related to your party, nothing but a bunch of crooks and scoundrels. Even Doug Schoen said it.
Need a special counsel to look at Secretary Clinton and her campaign and her activities as we are Donald Trump. We need to clean up our system. But let's be honest here, Sean. Bernie Sanders had pulled out effectively before California and was negotiating for a plane and speaking engagements in the fall before he even lost and before he even conceded.
But wait a minute, but this was signed long before that.
I understand.
Look,
this is corrupt. Bernie Sanders wasn't honest. My party is rotting to the core. I consider myself
Bernie Sanders wasn't honest about what?
Bernie Sanders was negotiating for a plane, for speaking engagements, to not challenge the results at the convention.
That was Doug Schoen. And it was funny, the black lady who worked on the Bernie campaign is like, well, what's that got to do with anything? Because she's trying to protect Bernie. Bernie sold them out too. I said it. And Abby, when she says to me, well, something along the lines of like, that's not really fair. It is fair. That's exactly what Bernie did. That's what people recognize. Bernie Sanders sold his party down the river, whatever his followers, whatever you want to call him. He claims himself he's an independent. He sold the independents down the river. The people who supported Bernie expected him to live up to what he said. But see, that's the thing about Democrats. You give them a patch of land and say, I want to come back and look at a beautiful country club or a resort or a big building of something that you're proud to put your name on, and you got nothing. You got squatters. You got Occupy Wall Street sitting all over the place. You're not going to have something nice. Anyway, I want to go back to these kneelers, the NFL, and talk about where they're headed. They're headed south. And we didn't have to cover it over the weekend when I was doing Fox News, or Fox and Friends rather, because we knew what was going to happen. Even though they're at the remnants of this, where they're finally getting down to where they no longer have to deal with this stuff. You got the NFL that's still doing the same thing, should be looking at this as a business and have done the right thing. Roger Goodell he could have nipped this in the bud. We would be done talking about this. We wouldn't be talking about it in terms of other sports like we did about the Major League Baseball. We wouldn't be talking about it. It would be over. But instead, it's now front and center. And it's crushing the NFL. And what it did is it brought Roger Goodell's salary into play. There were people like me. I didn't know how much money Roger Goodell made. I was like, what? $242 million or what? He makes more than the top player in the NFL in the same period. And I'm talking by far the top Super Bowl champ players and an administrator. Roger Goodell, he is an employee just like everybody else in the NFL. The owners are the ones who determine the money. And here's Roger Goodell, the face of the NFL, making all this money and ruining the sport. What an ambassador for the NFL. Anyway, there was an article that appeared in Sporting News, and it says, no wonder the NFL sponsors are starting to panic. At the halfway point of the 2017 regular season, the league's once golden TV numbers are still plummeting. NFL game telecasts averaged 14.8 million viewers during the first 8 weeks of the season. That's Nielsen data. That figure's down 5%. They used to do 15.5 million viewers first half of 2016. It's off 18.7% from 18.17 million viewers in the same period in 2015. So let's recap. 18.2 million down to 15.5 million, down to 14.8 million, and shrinking fast. And this is just, how do you look at your industry, see this happening, and not want to make changes? Let me explain to you folks how powerful political correctness is. When you're watching your industry go from those kind of numbers year after year, and you make no changes, there is not a business. I mean, this is the strangest business I've seen, because I worked with some of the largest companies in the world. If I gave them those numbers, Roger Goodell would have been gone after the first year, but he's still there. He certainly wouldn't be getting bonuses. He certainly wouldn't be remaining the guy out front. Look at Starbucks. Even Starbucks was smart enough to say, look, Howard, you're not going to be in front and center anymore. You're not going to be the guy. They finally said enough is enough. And Howard Schultz, at a time when we were getting terror attacks and things like this, Howard Schultz was threatening to hire Muslims. And I'm talking about immigrants who were, and look, I don't have a problem hiring Muslims, but hiring people that came potentially on a watch list. He was saying, I'm going to hire these, because Donald Trump wants to potentially ban certain ones from the country, I'm going to hire more. And it backfired so badly that Starbucks was begging conservatives to come back. Begging. And so Howard Schultz then shifted. He pivoted. We're going to now hire 10,000 veterans. Yeah, nice try, Howard. The NFL, what did they do? The minute that they got under fire, we've now got our veterans. Get your favorite veterans T-shirt from the NFL. So it had, camouflage with whatever your favorite team was in the NFL logo, and they said, "Hey, that'll appeal the masses. They won't get it. They're too stupid." But we got it. And let me explain something, folks. It's a trickle-down effect. Not only have you stopped going to the games, okay, you've stopped watching the games on regular on Sunday. You've stopped watching Sunday night and Monday night football and Thursday night football, but you also have stopped buying their merchandise.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.